Hello friends, welcome to my channel. In this video I am going to discuss the essay Minutes on Indian Education by Thomas Babington Macaulay, or he is also known as Lord Macaulay as well. We will have a critical analysis of this essay. So as I've already discussed his biography and writing style, and you better watch that video for details, right? So what actually this essay is about. So during British rule in subcontinent, he was Lord, and he was in administration, Lord Macaulay, and he was assigned a task because the East India Company is going to introduce Western education system in India. So he was given a task to write a suggestion for that. So he came up with this suggestion written in 1835 as final foundation laid for formulating Western education system in India. So it offered following points regarding why East India Company and British government should invest in the Western education system in India and put emphasis on importance of acquisition of English language and westernized education system. So he talks about the foundation of English learning system. For example, in the late era of 18th century, the people of India, they were provided with the religious teaching of Christianity, right? And Christian missionaries were there, so who just try to convert them to Christianity from the locals. They incessantly worked to stop it. At it would mean that, so the Indians, they were against the westernization and Western culture, and they just had had to acquire the trends or the education of West, but to live up with the administration within the, because the administrator or the rulers were British people, and to live with them they have to acquire Western education, English language. So it is important, it become a compulsory for them. So what actually happens so it was necessary for the British as well to westernize the locals so that they can understand them and they have communication and they buy their products. So they just thinking of making the education system Western, teaching them English language. And so it is criticized on the education system of India or the subcontinent, as well as we will see what Lord Macaulay thought of Indian education system. And so East India Company, he was a diplomat, right? Lord Macaulay in East India Company. So the East India Company, its diplomatic role, its business policies, so to implement them so that people understand them, they have to westernize the system. So in 1813, a charter act which ensured that the role of East India Company in India and state system of education was introduced, which put emphasis on investing on institutions in order to uh, separate education which conveys them. And East India Company start opening schools and therefore laying the foundation of English system education in India. So there were some clash of opinions of the Indians and Western people, contrary views we will discuss. So with every revolution or change that occur in any state, with comes many contradictory views or beliefs. So Orientalists are the Eastern people, the sub people locals of subcontinent, right? India, Pakistan, you can say. And whereas Occidentalists are the Western, they have contrary opinions about this system. So this is known as Oriental Occidentalist controversy. So we will see their difference of opinions. The Orientalists, they emphasize on not changing Indian culture, whereas Occidentalists, they emphasize on civilization of Indian culture and nation. Orientalists emphasize teaching of Eastern literature, history, and culture, whereas Occidentalists emphasize on teaching of modern Western English literature, history, and culture. And Orientalists, they believe the modern medium of construction should be Arabic, Sanskrit, Urdu, Hindi, like that, whereas the Occidentalists, they believe modern medium of instruction should be English language only. And Orientalists, they have tolerance for immoral cultural and religious practice is way, whereas Occidentalists have no tolerance for immoral religious practices and values. And the Orientalists, they just want to prohibit missionaries from English people, whereas Occidentalists, they encourage missionaries, Christian missionaries who just try to convert them to Christianity. And third important point is how Lord Macaulay's minutes on Indian education came and impacted. Right, and then this controversy was there, and Lord Macaulay come up with this amendment implementation by Lord Macaulay, who was a law member in Governor General Council in 1834. Right, so minutes on Indian education, or so it is presented in 1935 to justify the decision of westernizing the education system of India, and Lord Macaulay became known to views of the Orientalists, and he instantly refused them and debated them by proposing Macaulay's Minute. It is also known as Macaulay's Minutes, and through which he supported as well told the importance of uh, institutionalizing English language and learning system throughout the country. And so English language become official language of court and medium of instruction in schools, colleges, resulting in linguistic imperialism of English language in India. And the main ideas of minutes to Indian education are English as the mode of institution and education in India, key to modern knowledge, Renaissance in India, inclination of natives towards English, emphasis on teaching of Western literature, demolishing Western Eastern institutes, introduction of downward filtration theory, and superiority of Western knowledge over Eastern, and idea of learned native, and slavery to British, the death of vernacular languages. And this theory is important, downward filtration theory, which means that there is no need of building large number of institution and spending so much money on Indian education. The Lord Macaulay, he believes that. Rather, what they did, they just taught some selected people, and that selected people who learn, they just spread that education to the others. So in this way, the population becomes civilized, and these ideas are further to be discussed in this. I will discuss them in detail. The first, English as the mode of instruction and education in India. Macaulay, he neglecting all the views of Orientalists, right, the people of India, and he declared that English should be institutionalized and used as the mode of instruction throughout all the institutions of India. And Macaulay, he also declared and justify imposition of English language on native Indians, and with claim that it is the language of ruling class, showing dominancy of English language. And further, English as the key to modern knowledge. Obviously it is in today's world as well, because English international language and the language of science, the language of technology. And Macaulay supported his claim throughout all the institute with the claim that English is key to modern language, and books consist of science in English, obviously. And third, Renaissance English, and Macaulay gave another claim to support his instance, stated above, English should be reason to why Renaissance would take place in India. Right? as it did in England and Russia as well. So he seems rather unrealistic, for it's not just language that brings about Renaissance, but also attitudes and mindset of people as a whole as well. Inclination of native locals Indians towards English language. And he another claim that he made is that, which is most realistic claim he made, to support that the masses, the majority of Indians are inclined toward learning English language, and they stand still today as Indians eager to learn English just like every nation in the world. Emphasis on teaching of Western literature. So he emphasis was teaching of Western literature as opposed to Indians, because he just criticized on the education or literature of East or subcontinent, and he said that a single shelf of a good European library is worth the whole native literature of India and Arabia. Obviously he is true, right? We have lack of literature, and the Europeans, the Western nations, they have uh, a large sum of literature they have produced, but we produce very little literature. And no matter whether if this statement holds a weight of truth or not, obviously it's truth. And demolishing the Eastern Institute. And further he gives his idea that the Eastern education system should be vanished, and in place of that, Western education system should be implemented, Westernization system. And further introducing downward filtration theory, as I've already explained to you, that transmission of certain teaching or knowledge from one person, mostly the elite, to the others, because the elite, the some selected people, they were given the teachings of that language, English language, and then they, the locals, they separate that selected, or the people who have learned, they separate their teachings to other, right? So in this way, the his budget will be safe, don't have to spend a lot of money on the institutions or schools. And for example, he gave example that what should be criteria for that. For that purpose, modern language through this theory was to teach a group of three, mostly elite class, who in turn would teach the other three, and this cycle will go on, and to the lower class will most likely jump to be like elite class. This is downward, this is known as downward filtration theory. And superiority of Western knowledge, language, English language over Eastern. So he, according to Macaulay, a true learned man was the one who know Milton's poetry, right? Emphasis on English literature, and this idea can be taken as somewhat absurd and narcissist, because he just tried to impose his own uh, nation or his own ideas, English language, literature, right? And slavery to British. So the locals, they believe that, they think that, so in this way they become slave of British. Indian in blood and not color, but English in taste, in opinions, in morals, and in intellect. Macaulay gave another idea of gathering a pool of people, to what? To teach, who in return would be enslaved and in debt towards the British thought. And death of local vernaculars, local languages. Obviously English dominates, and in this way the local languages, they just perish, and English become dominant. So in conclusion, we can say that just like everything has positive and negative results, Macaulay minutes can just the same. It has positive aspect as well as negative aspect. Positive aspect, separate of knowledge, uh, English language, that is good thing, but bad thing is Westernization, snatching of culture of local people, right? So these are the things, hope you get. Thank you for watching.